Very pleased now to be joined in the lead up to Super Bowl 57 by the one, the only, the legendary, the supremely handsome, the ultimately ripped nowadays, Adam Vinatieri. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
So I have a lot of places I want to go with you, including the direction of what today celebrates. Today is National Pizza Day, as I'm sure you are well aware. I cover the Dallas Cowboys, though, here at SB Nation. I don't know if that's obvious based on my background. Do you ever wish that you had played for the Cowboys, or are you very happy with your career?
You know what? When I left the Patriots, they were one of the teams that I was thinking about. Bill Parcells was there at the time, who I played for. If they would have called earlier, it would have maybe been an option. So, yeah, you know, I respect the heck out of them. It's America's team. How can you not want to be a part of that?
Right. That's all fair and that's all true. It's actually the fact that you went to Indianapolis that set up a lot of heartbreak, because Mike Vanderjagt, of course, left Indianapolis, opening the whole, the void for you and everything, blah, blah, blah. But as a Cowboys fan, I've been to a number of different NFL stadiums. It's something me and my dad like to do. And we went and saw the Cowboys play Indianapolis in 2018. So I have a shirt that I got that day. I was wondering if you've ever seen this shirt. Have you ever seen this?
I think that was one of those McAfee things, or maybe it wasn't. No, McAfee did a couple other ones, but
this was at the Colts team store, and I wear this all the time. And people presume that it's about Dak Prescott, right? Because it's number 4, it's Cowboys colors.
Yeah.
They do not see the sleeve. I had the wrong sleeve. It has the horseshoe, and it has your name on it. Look at that.
Nice. I apprate it. Good stuff.
How many times do you see your jersey in your career nowadays?
Now it's all, obviously, since I've retired, it's on the older people. The young kids always want the new current stuff, some of the old throwback stuff. But every once in a while, still, if I'm out in New England or something, you'll see one walking by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's always an honor when somebody spends their hard-earned money buying something that represents what I've done. So it's good stuff.
I think that what you've done gets a little bit overglossed sometimes. People remember the big-time Super Bowl. Something I've never forgotten was the divisional round that you had in your first season in Indianapolis. Nobody ever talks about that game. You kicked 5 field goals in a game you guys won 15-6. Is that among your career highest achievement? I don't want to say anything's bigger than the Super Bowl, but that feels like it might be, at least from your standpoint alone.
Yeah, playing a really good Baltimore team, we knew points were going to be difficult to come by, and hitting that last one, putting us up by a margin that we knew that now all of a sudden it's a 2-score game. And I kind of felt like once I made that last one, it was icing on the cake. And it was a hard-fought game. I remember a couple of my teammates, coming from the evil empire, if you will, now playing for the Colts. They all said, man, I know how good you were there. You better prove it here too. So I remember Gary Brackett, one of our linebackers at the time, after that game, he's like, yeah, man, you're worth the money we spent, that kind of thing. So I guess it's one of those, validation that they appreciated me and they kind of accepted me into the organization at that point.
It was a really tense time, certainly. The Patriots-Colts rivalry was at its peak when you left. You might be the biggest nobody else. I know Reggie Wayne, went the other way, very, near the end of his career. But you left in your prime. I don't know how to define your prime, Adam. Your career is so long, and I think about it on a day like today, where we'll find out the class of 2023. Do you allow yourself to think about the Hall of Fame someday in the future?
I really didn't think about it much when I was playing, because there were so many other things to think about and current stuff, trying to continue your career, try to make your team better. I guess now that I'm done, I can reflect and think back on my career a little bit more. And yeah, when they start talking all the Hall of Fame stuff, it makes you kind of wonder. And there's a few people out there that say, oh man, you're going to make it too, so it makes you think a little bit more about it. And I just love being in the conversation. I hope I make it. I'm not going to lie. People say, how do you think about it? Of course you do. At this point, when it starts to get closer to the time that you're going to be eligible. So we'll see. Hopefully I did enough to make it there. If I did, great. If not, it's an honor just being talked about it in this sense.
I think you did. So time will tell. You seem like somebody now that just loves football and enjoys football. I was browsing your Instagram, getting ready for this, and I saw you took your son to see Super Bowl 53. What was that like, I guess, to watch? Was that the first one you ever watched as a fan?
Yeah, obviously, while I was playing, I never went to one of the games. And honestly, I didn't. If we weren't in it, I didn't want to go watch somebody else playing for a trophy that ultimately we didn't get to have a part to be in. So I didn't really want to go, but then after that, and being part of the all century team or the all-time team, whatever, and being on the field with all these other greats and stuff, it was fun to be able to take my kids now and for them to be able to experience it a little bit more. when I first started and when we were winning some of the Super Bowls, they were so young they didn't really remember it. But now to be able to reflect back a little bit and have them kind of go, man, you're pretty cool back in the day, Dad. So yeah, it's fun to experience that stuff with each of my kids now.
That makes sense. And you played in a time to where now your kids are at the age where they can, like, hit you up on YouTube and like go look at your kicks. Like, if your life had been 30 years earlier, even if you'd had the same career, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the access to information wouldn't be the same. Who are some of your favorite kickers in the NFL right now? Justin Tucker's obviously at the top, but like, who else sticks out to you?
He's awesome. Cincinnati's kicker's really good. Obviously he had a really, really successful rookie season. Robbie Gould's a real good friend of mine. He was in camp with me in New England, and I watched his career, and he's still doing it at a super high level. For me, anybody that makes it to this level, I've got the ultimate respect for, because I know what it takes to get there, and I know what it takes to sustain and continue to be there. So some of the old guys that I played against, I probably have more of a relationship with some of them guys because we shared the field together, that kind of thing. But, it blows my mind. They just keep getting better and better and better. And Tucker, I think, he's the apex guy at this point. I think he's the best that's out there. And I just keep watching him do his thing, and he's really, really good at what he does. So I don't know, I just respect him. I love watching him, cheering him on, and trying to be a part of it. It's fun.
I want to get to DiGiorno in just a moment, but I asked Dan Bailey this at one point. Obviously, Dan was in contention for best kicker in the NFL when he was with the Cowboys. I had noticed that he was alternating hash marks on extra points. And obviously, that's a kicker preference thing, right? And I asked him, and he was really humble about it. But I said, like, why did you do that? Like, is it because he was kicking indoors? It's not like it was, wind related or something like that. Like,
for sure.
Is there like a practice element to that in your experience? Like, like, hey, like later in the game, I might have to kick from the right hash. I want to just try this angle. Like, did you ever, again, in a humble way, use an extra point opportunity? Because it is valuable, but as a form of practice based on the hash mark?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when extra points were 20-yard extra points, everybody kicked them in the middle. Now all of a sudden,
Right.
when they go to 33, now people kind of pick hashes or whatever. And I thought about it too, because I sat there and considered, I'm like, the majority of the kicks that we have, field goals, are from hashes, right? Very seldomly are in the middle of the field, unless it's the end of the half or the end of the game and they try to center the ball for you, right? Other than that, not very many kicks. But I also thought the best angle, if you break it down geometrically, the best angle that you're going to have is kicking from the middle. It gives you a half a degree or 1 degree, whatever.
Sure.
So I didn't overthink it. I just kind of said, you know what, I'm gonna kick mine from the middle, because now some guys, there's not a right or wrong answer. I'm not a guy that overthinks and overanalyzes stuff. Rely on the process. Rely on doing what you know what to do. I've never sat there and my stats, I'm not better from one hash than the other. I don't have more misses from one hash than the other. So I put in the middle field and kick the ball.
That all makes sense. And ultimately, you're right. Like, 3 points are 3 points, a point is a point, whatever. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, I just have to kick this from wherever it's at. But I did, do always kind of wonder those little idiosyncrasies, like how much of a factor. And again, I think on windy days, you're like, hey, I'm probably going to have to, whatever. We're leaning this way. Obviously, pros and cons of the situation. But you're joining us on behalf of DiGiorno.
Yeah, no, if field conditions.
Go ahead. You were saying about field conditions?
Oh, I was just saying, field conditions warrant the situation from kicking from a hash. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Obviously, unless it's an extra point, you can't move it anyway. It's where the ball ends up. If it's hash, it goes onto the hash in the middle. The ball is there. But it's an extra point. You're absolutely right. If there's a hard crossword or something, maybe you want to try to put it on one of the hashes so you don't have to win quite as much. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
Interesting. I've never been a kicker in the NFL, but so that's why I asked the best one to ever do it. Okay, so you're joining us on behalf of DiGiorno's, and this is really cool. Today is National Pizza Day. I don't know, I'm going to assume, Adam, that your people and the people you work with and all your friends, like this was all purposeful. This was all by design. We're going to have Adam Vinatieri talk about this on National Pizza Day. So kudos to whoever laid the foundation for this, but please tell us what you're working on.
Absolutely. So, yeah, DiGiorno's is doing a really cool program during the game. if any field goal or extra point attempt ends up hitting the upright or the crossbar and doinks, so to say, DiGiorno's is giving away free pizza to anybody that visits DiGiornoDoinks.com and signs up. So ultimately, they're hoping that, and for me, I always say, hey, doink it, kiss it off the upright, but I hope they make it because I know how it feels to miss a kick. I'm not wishing for any of the guys to miss a kick, but hey, for all of us that sign up, if you kiss it off an upright and it goes in, free pizza. So you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, take what you can get and rock on with it. But I'm excited. DiGiorno's been awesome to work with. They're great company. And hey, us Italians, we love pizza. So what are you going to do?
That's well said. This was purely coincidental on my part. I didn't line this up as soundly as your team. That's what I'm having for dinner. DiGiorno's. It's a busy night.
Hey,
I've got to watch the kid. So he's a bit over a year old. So it's like, what's easy for dad is just slap a DiGiorno's in the oven, watch NFL honors, all that kind of stuff. I was curious.
To wait for delivery and yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. You don't have to wait for delivery.
And if I can get a free
right
one.
There.
Totally with you. If I can get a free one, I'm totally going to go for that. So DiGiorno'sDoinks.com. My last question for you, Adam, and maybe I'm sure you've done this at some point in practice or just for fun. How many tries do you think it would take you to doink one? And like, if you had to doink one, if that was the objective, like what yard would you want? What hash, I guess, would you want? Like, and what upright would you be aiming for?
I would probably kick it right. I'd probably line up on the right hash, go right down the right hash. And you've almost got a line that sets you in motion to do that. Distance wise, I mean, closer the better, I suppose. I mean, it's less
really?
If you're back 50 yards, your ball might tail a little bit. It might be a little bit more difficult, maybe a 30-yard type of thing. And I think if you gave me 3 or 4 attempts, I'd at least hit it once, maybe twice, kind of thing. So not 100% guaranteeing that you're going to hit it, but most of the guys in the league right now are fairly consistent. Now, if you got a snap, hold, a rush coming at you, maybe not quite as, but ultimately the guys can kick pretty straight. I think you give me 10 shots, I think I'd hit it maybe close to half of the time.
See, like, again, I would feel very safe with my life in your hands or on your foot, I suppose, in that sense.
Right.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, somebody plays golf or whatever, and they, like, doink it off, like, I don't know, a rare boulder. They're like, you gave me 1,000 tries. I can never do that on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Type thing. So I don't know if a doink works out that way. Adam Vinatieri, wishing you the best of luck when it does come to be Hall of Fame time. You're the best, and I don't say that just because I have your shirt. You've had a wonderful career. Tell more people about that 2006 divisional round. The Super Bowl should get some love. Don't get me wrong, but that divisional round game against Steve McNair's Ravens, I will never forget that game in my life. So thank you for that memory, and thank you for the gift of football. Like, so many football fans my age love this game because of the epic moments that you have created.
Well, thank you so much. I'm the blessed one to be able to play for 2 amazing organizations and great teammates that won so many games. This week I was fortunate enough to be part of 6 of these things, and having 4 rings is pretty wild. So when I watch these games and see what's going on, it brings back a lot of nostalgic moments. I've been so blessed to be a part of it for so long, and then I get an opportunity to talk pizza with guys like yourself. So thank you for having me on.
Adam, you've inspired me. Later on, after my pizza and the kid goes to bed, I'm going to fire up Madden, and I'm going to try to doink it. That's my mission tonight. I want to see if I can. So I appreciate it, Adam Vinatieri. Thank you so much. Have a great – who wins? Give us a winner. Chiefs, Eagles. I'm sure no one's asked you this week.
Boy, I tell you what, the 2 best teams in football are in the Super Bowl right now. I truly feel that way. Like, it's not a shock that both of these teams all season long were just at the top of the league, and they just did their thing. I'm thinking that Kansas. If I'm making predictions, Kansas City, I think, wins. I am a big fan of what Andy Reid brings to both organizations when he was in Philly and now in Kansas City. Nick Sirianni was a coach at Indy a couple years back. Selfishly, I'd love to see him get a ring. So I just want a good game. I guess if I'm cheering for one, I'm cheering for Nick to win, Philadelphia Eagles. But I think Kansas City ends up winning it at the end. I do.
Adam, if we're being selfish, and I cover the Cowboys, I mean, we don't have to get into this Nick Sirianni love fest or anything like that. So, it's just, let's be cool. Appreciate the time, Adam Vinatieri. Hope you have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me on.